Okay, I think we're live now. So hello and welcome everyone to today's session, Developing Professional Skills. Hope you all are doing great and keeping safe. Thank you for joining in and being here with us today. Now, before we begin this webinar, I would like to give you a quick overview of what Fuchsia is all about. Fuchsia is an online networking community and a global platform open to every individual, both men and women, who support the cause of women empowerment, feminism, equality, and mutual support. Fuchsia believes in she for she and he for she, and also considers in the fact that true empowerment is incomplete without men supporting it. Moreover, they deem that an empowered woman is a happy woman, and they support happiness through six key elements. 1. Gardening relationships and friendships, learning and education, engagement and activities, wellness, charity and giving back, and financial independence. Coming to the topic of our webinar, developing professional skills. An individual's professional skills are extremely important in the business world. The way people communicate, present them, handle and manage work, and act with others around can determine their success or failure as an employee. You might have necessary degrees and qualifications, might have knowledge, but these professional skills are something which will help you in climbing the success ladder. Today evening, we have with us industry experts as our guests. First, I would like to welcome all our guests here. Let me just introduce to all our guests. We have with us Ria Kapoor. Ria is marketing and PR manager with Fuchsia. Then we have Miss Puneet Rahi. Puneet is a senior educator and a research scholar in the field of education. Then we have Miss Pallavi Singh. Pallavi is a seasoned HR professional working with delivery and has over 8.5 years of experience in the HR domain. Then we have with us Srishti Srivastav. Srishti is a research scholar in women and gender studies and handles learning and development for Fuchsia. Last but not the least, we have Manya Mishra. Manya is content and communications manager with Fuchsia. Now, our esteemed guests will share their insights on topics such as personality development, communication skills, interview skills, interpersonal skills, successful planning, organizing, and time management. So, beginning the session one, every individual has his or her characteristic way of behaving. I mean, responding to emotions, perceiving things, or looking at the world. Personality development is immensely important to succeed in one's professional path. Let us hear from Ria Kapoor some easy and effective tips for successful personality development. Over to you, Ria.
Thank you so much, Kalpana, for having us here. So I'd just like to begin by talking about what personality development is. So according to me, personality development is more than just working on your talents. It's more about self-awareness in today's time. And it's about growing, developing, getting more progressive in life and increasing our significant capacities, more like, thinking out of the box in today's time, which affects the world. Overall, I'll just say these are the traits, your own behavior, and your attitudes that defines your personal persona. Then I'd like to just talk about like what is more important, like why is personality development more important in for your personal career growth. So personality development is a very important part of your personal career growth. Like I said before, it's not just about your own talents, but also about self-awareness, your self-growth, then your self-development, getting more progressive in your field, and mostly importantly, like surviving in an organization. Like in today's time, it's very tough to survive in an organization if you don't have anything to do with your personal growth. So if you probably like work on your personality development skills and build your confidence, it definitely helps you to build your career. Then I'd just like to basically talk about the importance of personality development in today's time. So, firstly, according to me, it helps to increase your self-awareness. Like I said before, it's the most important and the initial step that it has to do with your own growth. It helps to enhance your personality. In today's time, we have to just be out there, be it like, especially like during the lockdown period, we have to like attend all these live sessions, webinars, like one we're hosting right now. So if we don't enhance our own personality, we won't be able to like, think out of the box and be out there for ourselves. Then it helps to enhance your communication. We have to like, it's very important in an organization, especially, it's very important to communicate properly. Like if we do not communicate properly, we won't be there to make the other person hear our viewpoint or understand our viewpoint. So definitely communication plays a very important role. Then lastly, it takes steps towards your goals. Like in we have to plan out our entire identity of how we want to, grow step by step. So definitely personality development helps us to achieve those goals in our life. Lastly, I'd like to talk about the easy and effective tips for a successful personality development. According to me, it is optimism networking. Today, it is very important to go out and talk to other people in the same field or communicate with them, attend as many live sessions, webinars, probably like talk to other people on LinkedIn, which is the best platform to communicate, or probably Instagram, and know more about networking in today's time. The other is building our capacities. Like I said before, it's very important to think out of the box. We know this much, but we have to get there. So we have to really try hard to, think to what we can achieve, understand our weaknesses, and work towards our strengths. We have to make our weakness our strength. And I feel for that, it is very important to know what our capacities are and work towards achieving more. Then the next is working on our talent. We need to discover our inner talent and then work towards excelling it. What we're best at, we need to know. Only then we can, help us get to another level. Lastly, I'd like to say it is enhancing our new skills, which is, building your confidence, focusing on yourself, and then achieving other goals, what more we want to achieve in our life. Then to improve our weakness and work towards our strengths, definitely. And then transforming our strengths, like I said before, and not comparing ourselves to other people, especially like when we're in an organization, we compare ourselves to other people that, oh, they're doing so much better than us. So we need to like understand what they are doing, what all steps another person is doing, and then we need to identify ourselves and work towards that. Lastly, it is working on your dressing and learning new body language techniques, which is very important. Like we at Fujia, even before, we've had a lot of live sessions in the past about body language techniques, or maybe probably when we're going for an interview, how we should dress up, an online interview in today's time, how we need to dress up, and how our talking techniques should be like. So we need to master those skills to help in our personality development. So that's all from my end.
Thank you so much, Riya, for these wonderful and effective tips for personality development. I agree when you said, I really liked it when you said that people know about their strengths, but it is more important for people to know about their weakness. I think that is very important in today's time because everyone knows that I'm good at it, but what is that I'm not good at is more important for me to understand. So I agree with you. Mm. Okay, moving on to our next session. Good communication is a skill that people need in their professional as well as personal life. Being able to communicate effectively becomes more important in a situation like today when we all are working from home. So let us hear more from our guest, Ms. Puneet Rahi, on how to improve your communication skills.
Hello, Kalpana, and all the other panel members. I'm thankful to Fujia for giving me yet another opportunity to interact with your viewers. See, communication is something which is the most important aspect of one's existence. Since, say, even if it was Stone Age or if it is today's 21st century, we have to convey to the other person what we desire from that person, either professionally or personally. So communication becomes a very, very significant component of our behavior and our personality overall. Now, if I say it very, very clearly, it is the communication is the bridge which we have between confusion and clarity. So there are few things, few pointers I would like to give to your viewers, and if they have a pen and a paper, they can probably note it down. And in the end, we will, conclude it down to something which is more rememberable. Okay. So first thing is we have to prioritize. We have to make sure that we are willing to communicate at the right time to the right people in the right environment. Okay, so we should never hesitate to communicate. Just like Ria said, body language is very important for one's personality development. So when it comes to communication, there is a 7% rule. 7% of your communication is verbal. It happens with the words that you use. But 93% of your communication is taking place from the way you conduct yourself, the body language that you display, the kind of expressions that you have on your face, how you are dressed, how do you present yourself, how do you walk. All these things become a part of your communication skills, whether one knows about it or one does not know about it. We Indians are very simple people. We do not give importance to the way we walk or the way we dress. We're very kind hearted people, some of us, especially. So people, and the youth, who is more gullible and vulnerable to wrong things, they are not aware of this fact, that how important all these things become when they go for interviews or for new jobs, to a well known company or a place which is very very new to them, innovative to them, right? So first thing that I said is prioritize, make sure that you communicate. Second thing that I touched upon was body language. Make sure you have a confident body language and a very polite tone, because irrespective of what kind of words are you using, it is the way you speak. And if you're the way you speak is polite, is welcoming, is empathizing, half the battle is won, half the communication is done. And communication is a two-way process. It is not that I have said it and it's over. It has to be received, it has to be decoded, and the process, the product has to come back to the person who is sending that message. So be it personal communication or be it professional communication, be it verbal communication or non-verbal. Now, when I say non-verbal, I'm talking of text messages, emails, everything. And now in this COVID time, when we are sitting at homes, working from home, half the things are happening through WhatsApp messages or other group messages. So we have to be very careful about how to use the words in sending messages. Okay, it's not considered to be saying that you have done this. Look for a word which is more comforting for the other person to read. You have done this wrong can be something which, and you might have been writing it, in a funny tone, but the person who's reading it might take it in the other sense. Similarly, if it is a face-to-face communication, please put it down. Put down the files on the table. There can be X number of tables in that room. So, what is a clear communication? Please put these files on the side table. So there is no confusion. There is clarity of what is to be done. Next thing is learn to keep it simple and straight. Do not mingle with words. Do not try to stretch your communication, be it written or verbal communication. Stay on the point. Don't drag the past mistakes or past things which have happened. Keep it simple, straight, and keep it to the point with context to the current situation. Do not try to bring in the past mistakes of any person. Next thing that you have to keep in mind is you always must respond rather than react. You have to be a very good listener to have good communication skills. Nothing stands on, the cycle runs on two wheels. So if speaking is one of the components for communication, listening is an equally important component for communication. If you are a good listener, if you're not ready to listen, say if you go to your boss and you want to tell your problems, if your boss is not listening to you, what happens? Do you like it? No, you don't like it. So, but on the other hand, if you have a senior or a family member who empathizes with you and at least listens to your verdict without any judgment, so that means you as a person, if you want to excel in your profession, you must become a good listener. Next is have eye contact. Eye contact, but then be careful. when we say body language also, choice of words also, there is a very thin line between being aggressive and being assertive. To communicate, it is very important to be assertive. Let the other person know how you feel, but you cannot get aggression into your communication. Respect others' viewpoints. Very, very important. Even if you do not agree to their ideas, you have to learn to listen to it, respect, and then give your viewpoints. And then, most important, see whom are you talking to. Even if whether it's in your family or is it in your professional circle, are you talking to a colleague? Are you talking to your seniors? Are you talking to your juniors or your parents, grandparents, whomsoever you're talking to? Please make sure that you have that ethical standard maintained, choice of words maintained when you're speaking and conveying your message. And in the end, I would like to just give one short acronym for your viewers. They can just write it down, and maybe later on I can put it in the chat box also. I would say we must keep our communication polite. Now, polite, how do we spell it? Polite. So, P goes for prioritizing. When to communicate, how to communicate, and when not to delay it. So, prioritizing. O is for organize your thoughts and observe. L, L stands for listening. I said listening is a very, very important component in communication. I stands for information. Be very sure of the information that you are communicating. Do not spread half cooked stories, or do not pass a message which is unclear to you. So have the right information. T stands for time. Take your time to draft your communication, to respond to your communication. Do not react, do not get aggressive. And the last one, E, is to empathize and to expect, put across the right expectations. Because only when you put across the right expectations, you will get the desired results. So I think if you have all those points clear in your mind, communication channels are always very healthy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Puni ma'am. Agree with whatever you have said, starting from being polite to be a good listener, from clarity of communication to respecting other viewpoints. I mean, everything is absolutely in place. And love, I mean, we all would try to be polite from next time, considering all those points validated with polite. Priority, I have noted it down. I hope the others would have also noted it down. P stands for priority, O is for being organized, L is for good listening, I is for information, T is for time, and E is for empathizing and having expectations.
Right.
Thank you so much for that. Moving on, I believe this would be one of the favorite sessions. No matter how many degrees or experience one has, we all will agree that there's one thing which still gives us jitters, and that is facing an interview. Let us hear from our HR expert Pallavi Singh about the interview skills that will get you hired. Over to you, Pallavi.
Hi, Kalpana. Thank you so much. And honestly, I think this is one of the most interesting sessions. Ria, I mean, I've noted down the points that you have written. Pradeep, ma'am, I've done the same. I've written down the definition of polite very, very sincerely. And I'm planning to explain this to my team also after this session. So thank you so much. It's wonderful connecting with everyone. And of course, thank you, Kalpana, ma'am, as well as the Fuja team. So just to quickly break the conversation, right? So one, of course, you pointed out an extremely important thing, irrespective of the number of degrees, irrespective of the number of years of experience, whenever an interview is there, right? There is a sense of fear attached to the concept of interviews. However, the younger generation of the HR folks, right? So these guys are trying, so we are all trying to break that taboo or the fear which people have, and we are trying to convert the process of an interview into an interaction. The minute you change that stance, there is a sense of relaxation also for the candidate as well as the people who are interviewing, right? So to take it forward, right? So I would like to break this conversation into two parts. One is going to be the functional side of the functional side of interviews, how to prepare for that side, as well as the behavioral side of interviews. I am going to borrow some points provided by Ria as well as Puneet, right? Because both the points, all these points mentioned by them are extremely critical for the interview process as well, right? So first, I'm going to start with the functional side of things. So when we say functional side of things, right, or when I say functional preparation for an interview, it is primarily the understanding about the role which you are applying for. That is the most important fact. This is the most important step which majority of us miss out on. Right? When we get an opportunity, we are just too much excited to get roped in the entire process, and we fail to read about the role. We fail to understand the role which we are applying to. And I am sure, I mean, I can vouch for a lot of candidates that I have interviewed that majority of the people, including experienced professionals, they don't go through the job description which has been given to them. Because a sense of understanding, right? If it is a manager role, I know how to do a manager role. But when they go for the interview, that is when it is sort of like an surprise to them. Ki, oh, this much has to happen there. So my first suggestion is always going to be prepare yourself for the interview, right? Irrespective of the number of people you're going to meet for that day, be sure to always be prepared for the interview. That means going through the job description in detail. If you don't have the job description, then ask the recruiter as many questions as possible about the role. The second is understanding the organization that you would want to apply to, right? It could be any organization. It could be as big as HUL. It could be as small as a 5-member organization. But it's important to understand which organization you're applying for. Read the latest news which are there. Read the latest articles. Go through Wikipedia. Go through the company website, right? These are very small tidbits which are there. Then, of course, the most important one, which results in a lot of rejections, that is, while we are preparing for the JD, while we are preparing for the organization side of things, we fail to read our own resumes. Right? We have prepared a resume, we all assume that, this is our resume, we know it. But you would be surprised, there are so many cases which have happened that wherein people are not clear about their own resumes. Somebody would have written that, yes, I know policy making. And when the interviewer is going to ask that question, the candidate is completely blank. So whenever you're preparing for the interview, while you're reading about the organization, the JD, you're brushing up your own skills, go through your resume. Understand what exactly you've written. If any omissions are required, please omit that. If that skill is no longer required, you can please change that. You can carry your updated CV and hand it to the interviewer. Right? So these are the very basic 3 checks which I always encourage candidates to have from the functional side. Now coming to the other side of things, that is this is now pre-interview. Now during the interview, what is important for you to know? One is, as Puneet ma'am rightly said, do not react to a question. Right? Do not at all react to a question, respond to the question. Hear it, understand the question, take your time to formulate the answer, and then respond. The interviewer is there with the intent to hire you, not with the intent to reject you. There is no rush. Take your time. If you need more time, to formulate the answer, ask for it. That's okay. Right? Second thing is, which we have pointed out about confidence. Right? A lot of times, people sort of, how do I say this? They confuse confidence with overconfidence. So while you are responding to questions, while you are, handling yourself or managing yourself, be assertive, be confident how you're responding. But while being confident and assertive, don't become cocky. That's not right. The person sitting across the table from you may have lesser years of experience or may have more years of experience. The fact is that you being the candidate, you are coming to that organization to become part of that company, right? So at least be humble enough to hear the other side of the questions, understand what exactly is required from the role, everything, right? Then of course, while being interviewed, very, very carefully, whenever you're answering a question, support each answer. It's always encouraged to answer questions with examples. So let's say, for example, if somebody asks you that, what was your best performance ever? What has been your best month with respect to sales? You should have your examples handy with you. And it does not hurt to write down your answers on a piece of paper. You can revise it either when you're traveling to the venue or before the interview, or even if you're not considering nowadays we're actually doing virtual interviews. Right? You can just take down your notepad and write those examples and they're handy for you. Right? Then of course, the best way to do is, a lot of times what we don't read about the interviewer. If you have the information that an X person is going to interview you, or that probably there are 5-6 people who are going to be interviewing the next day, read about them on LinkedIn. If the tools, if the time permit you, it won't hurt. It's just sort of that you just have a visibility on who exactly is going to interview you. So it won't come as a shocker, and you won't be a little bit on the awkward side when interacting with the interviewer. It won't be, oh, hi, sorry. So half the time you won't feel awkward. So that's the best way. Also, I always encourage candidates to ask as many questions as possible. It is extremely, extremely important when you ask questions. A lot of times, when you're interviewing, be it for frontline hiring or be it for senior positions also, candidates come back saying that we don't have any questions as such. And when they join, finally, then they have tons of questions and there is a lot of confusion surrounding their own roles. Right. So considering that, the organizations are, and honestly, the HR side, the interviewers from the business side are more than willing to address all the questions. Because again, as I was saying earlier, the culture is changing. It is not exactly an interview. It is more of an interaction between the candidates. Be sure to ask questions around what exactly is the career path for this particular role. What exactly, how will you measure my performance, or how will you measure the performance of this particular role in the organization? What exactly is the culture of the organization like? So by the time you join the organization, a lot of these answers are already there. A lot of these questions are already answered for that matter, right? So that's in the functional side of things. I'm sorry, I'm actually taking a bit more time. I'll just take 2 more minutes and then I'm
No, no,
good to
Pallavi,
go.
please continue.
Okay. Then, of course, on the behavioral side of things, or rather on the, how to say, personality side of things, personality is probably a wrong word to say here, but definitely on the behavioral side. A lot of times, candidates will come extremely tensed. I mean, I think I've seen candidates sweating, and one, it was a very young candidate, fresher, started crying also because she was extremely scared. There's no hawa, there is nothing to be feared. The person sitting opposite to you is also a human being. Nothing is wrong. It's all good. Don't worry. Of course, it's a responsibility of the HR as well as the interviewer to keep you calm. That's okay. But whenever you enter, firstly, there should be no sense of fear. It's just an interview. Max to max, what's going to happen? You won't get it, right? That's it. That's okay. At least be optimistic while sitting for the interview. Be very, very calm while sitting for the interview. Your thoughts need to be at rest. Your focus should be only one, getting through this interview. And of course, as I mentioned, confidence, approachability, friendly nature, right? All of that, of course, goes in hand. One important factor, if you do not know the answer to a question, don't make up stories. Don't. The interviewers are smart enough to know when you're making it up and when you are actually telling the truth. Tell the truth. If you don't know an answer, just simply tell them, I don't know the answer. Can be either, if you can repeat the question, if you can change the question, or if you don't know the answer, you can definitely say. That's not going to be a problem, right? And then, of course, on the other side of things, right, that how do you prepare for the interview when you're going there? Be ensure that you dress up smart. Smart casuals are definitely in. If required, you can check with the respective recruiter or with the coordinator, whosoever is there, what exactly is the dress code of the organization like, and then you can dress accordingly. Don't overdo on the makeup for all the ladies. It's not required that you only wear Western formals. Not required. You can wear lovely salwar kameezes, you can wear lovely saris, and that's absolutely fine. There is no judgment there. Nobody is going to reject you or select you because you're wearing formals or not formals. People are there to evaluate you for the kind of knowledge that you bring to the table. And this goes for all levels, not just junior positions, but senior positions also. And of course, the most important one, right? Please do not have slang conversations or do not have casual conversations with people. A lot of times, youngsters specifically, they end up using quite slangs in the conversation, right? They don't even hesitate using some curse words for that matter. So have formal conversations, words, and there are certain words, of course. I'm sure you understand where I'm coming from. I don't want to use them on this platform. A lot of times, some casual words are spoken, or words like "yar" are spoken just like that. As an Indian, we have a tendency to use those words, right, in casual conversations. Be sure to have formal conversations, formal channel of communication during the interview. I'm not saying call somebody sir or ma'am, but you can use somebody's first name and you can have that conversation. And then just finally, your CV, your communication needs to have facts. You cannot cook up stories in your resume. You cannot cook up stories while giving examples, because believe it or not, we all can check those facts. We are a very, very well knit community. We all know each other, we do talk to each other, and those facts can be checked. And if those facts are checked and they come out to be untrue, then of course that's a reason for rejection. So why would you want to do that? So that is pretty much from my side. I hope I've covered all. I mean, I'm sure I've missed quite a few, but again, just for the sake of time, I'm just trying to keep it as short as possible.
Thank you, Pallavi. I think there is some connection problem with Kalpana. So, yeah, next is my session on interpersonal skills. So, I'll start that. Okay, so I am Srishti, and this session is on interpersonal skills. And before I start my session and talk on interpersonal skills, I would like to thank all three of you for such insightful sessions and giving me an entry point to talk about interpersonal skills. So in this session, I'll tell my viewers about what is interpersonal skill and why interpersonal skills is an important professional skills, why it is considered important in the domain of professional skills, and what are the benefits of developing interpersonal skills. And in the end, I'll give some easy and effective tips to develop the same. So, interpersonal skills are sometimes, referred as social skills, life skills, people skills, and employability skills. So, I'll come to this employability skills, but like one may realize or not, we all have some kind of interpersonal skills. Like, after all, we all know how to get along, we all know how to socialize with others. So, but this effective and impactful interaction don't always just happen, whether in workspace or in personal life. So, your personality, about which Ria has talked about, your personality, your learned behavior, your communication skills, about which Puneet ma'am has, of course, talked about, and your mood at any particular time. These all impacts your interpersonal skills and like what you say, how you respond, and what is your motive behind saying anything. And all these things impact your performance and your relationship with others. So, like, imagine a situation when a teammate asks you for a favor or asks you to help him or her in something, and you are actually very much overworked, and like you can't take some another work, you can't take some other work. But if you convey and if you respond in such a way that it shows like that you are not cooperating, you are not interested in helping, or you are making an excuse. So, what is lacking here? So this is where we need to learn about interpersonal skills, and these strong interpersonal skills are important in workplace, they are as important as like the hard and technical and the formal qualifications what we call are. So why it is important to develop interpersonal skills? Now I'm coming to second part of my session. So these skills help you to create, of course, healthy and good working relationships, manage any conflict situation that might arise with your colleagues or within the team if you are at some managerial position. And they're important to motivate your colleague, motivate your team, increase productivity, solve any problem, and the most important, at least for me, to increase the happiness and engagement in the workspace. And that, like, automatically it increases your productivity. So, as I said, these are also called employability skills. And Pallavi can add more to it in the end, maybe. So, why like interpersonal skills are very important when you go for any interview? So, when employers are hiring, interpersonal skills are one of the top criteria used to evaluate any candidate. So, regardless of the type of job you have, it's important to be able to get along, important to be able to, like, work with. And like you have some kind of team spirit, you are cooperative, you are calm, polite, patient at some level. So, what are the key areas you need to work on when you want to improve your interpersonal skills? So first is of course communication skills, about which Puneet ma'am has given an like excellent presentation, I would say. So I'll just take 1 minute to wrap this section on communication skills. Verbal communication, like what we say and how we say. Like the example I gave for like you are really not available to do something, but how do you say that? How to say no to any team member, whether he or she is junior to you. So non-verbal communication. Again, this is very important. Like when like we communicate without words, for example, our facial expressions, our body language, our tone of voice. And so all these, of course, count as non-verbal skills. And listening skills, on which all three of like the presenters have already said, these are important. Like effective listening is an important part of interpersonal skills. So when we come to this emotional intelligence, this is an important part of interpersonal skills, because able to control your own and understand other person's emotions. Team working, as I already said, being in a workspace, this team spirit and having this kind of you can say negotiation skill to you know, in any situation to get some win-win outcome. These kinds of skill, also conflict resolution that may arise at any time. Like there should be at least a spirit to agree to disagree, what I can say on this conflict resolving, having a positive attitude, having a calm and you know, patience attitude towards anyone whenever you are disagreeing with someone on any opinion. Again, this problem solving and decision making, that's like automatically it comes under interpersonal skill. You can't hold on to decisions like for a week or two, just because you don't think what is the right thing to do. And if any such situation arises, you are like one can ask to other team members for help, for suggestion. So these are again important interpersonal skills. Again, when I come to empathy, like part of being a good manager or like just a colleague, I think, is the ability to understand and show empathy to others. Caring, compassion, helping, kindness, these are like important interpersonal skills. But what I have seen, if someone has already said you they're not feeling well and they're taking a leave for that, I really, to my amazement, people, when they are back on the work, people first question they ask sometimes is like the update on the work. You can't do that. If someone is not well and they have already conveyed that to you, so when they come back to the work, I think the first question, or even if you are messaging them when they are not available, the first question you should begin the conversation is about asking them about their health. Again, also, I don't think so it's good to ignore your colleagues emotions. For example, if someone looks sad or upset, don't disregard this. I mean, address it, ask the person what's wrong with you, and I think that initiates a warm conversation and a very healthy colleague relationships in any workplace. And also recognize others' expertise. A good way of building trust at work is to let your colleague know that you understand, you value their work, and appreciate them sometimes. And just don't say, "You did this work. The work you did was really good." Tell them what you liked in their work. Tell them what was the thing that particularly interested you in their work. So again, now I'll just wrap my session in some quick tips to improve your interpersonal skills. Like first of all, in any workplace or in personal relationships, be open to feedback and ask for feedback. Second is never talk over people. This shows like you are not actively listening. First thing, but the second thing is you don't value what the other person is, what the other person has to say. Third is consider and check if you are long-winded. This happens with me a lot of time. And think about how you can tighten up your conversation, tighten up your message, and don't finish other people's sentence. Like you might think it as like you are telling them that you get what they are saying, but it is not so. Let the other person finish up their sentences, and this gives a feeling that you value their conversation, you value what they're saying, and you are actively listening to them. Again, it's important to maintain an eye contact. It's important when someone is talking to you, you don't use your phone or you don't look here and there. And these are the problems which we are facing nowadays. Like everyone, like our parents are talking to us and we are using our phones and they're like, I'm talking to you. And we are like, I'm listening. But that's not a proper communication process that is happening. Again, be aware of your body language. Without saying a word, you can speak a volume with your body. So be aware what you are physically doing when you are saying something or when you are listening something. Also, this is important, but this is like avoid unnecessary these fillers like I was saying that. So like the other person, of course, they don't know what you want to say, but you are using them as fillers, and we all use that. But sometimes we really need to check on that, and we really need to work on these fillers because they again distract from the point which you are making. And of course, as I already say, be respectful to other people's thoughts and opinions. In the end, I would like to give just one small golden tip in regard to this domain of interpersonal skill. And that tip is it's important to mention, I think, some of your interpersonal skills in your resume and also in any interview. Like, and it's not enough to say I have strong interpersonal skills, just one line in any CV or resume. You have to show them by some example. So always mention interpersonal skills, be it in a resume or in an interview, that matches with the job criteria and the job description, job requirement that matches with that. Mention some of those interpersonal skills, and also don't just say that I'm very good at communication skills or I'm very good at like working within a team. Show them with some examples. You can use some examples from your past experience and tell your employer that these are the examples through which like you can show them that you are really good at these interpersonal skills. You can, of course, if the employer doesn't directly ask you about your interpersonal skills, so there are a few questions like what are your strengths, what are your weakness, or why should we hire you. I think these are the questions which gives you a chance and a platform to talk about some interpersonal skills, and that leaves an impact on the employer. So I think this was it I had to say, and thank you. Hope it was helpful.
Thank you so much, Srishti. These tips are certainly helpful, and these will definitely help our audience to have, and build strong interpersonal skills. Thank you so much for that. Coming to the last session of this.
Ma'am, can I add a couple of things?
Okay,
Sorry.
coming to the last
Please.
session. Yeah,
Can I
Madhuri,
add a
please,
couple of
please
things
continue.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to add something to Srishti, what you said. You actually said it quite beautifully. You mentioned about, ensuring that your resume has interpersonal skills. That's actually a very, very important factor, what you have mentioned. And also, just to add, take time to prepare your resumes. Take time out. A lot of times, a lot of people actually hurriedly make their resumes, but it's always advised to take time out, take a day, take a do, whatever it is, to prepare a resume and do ensure that you include the interpersonal skills. Highlight your strengths.
Yeah.
That's
Right,
what I wanted to
Madhavi,
say.
right. People should definitely take
That's
time
about it.
to write the resume. I see many of them, just copying, pasting, just Googling resumes and copying and pasting them. So completely agree with you here. Okay, coming to the last session of this webinar, we all want to achieve something in life, right? And this is why we all are here to develop our professional skills. We look at certain people and idolize them. But is it that easy? I don't think so. It's not as easy as it looks. I mean, to achieve that one thing, there's so much that goes behind. Be it setting goals, prioritizing things, managing your time, and so much more. Now, coming to the last part of this webinar, I would like Manya to share her ideas on successful planning, organizing, prioritizing, and time management, please.
Hi, Kalpana. Am I audible properly?
Yes, Manya, you are.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, the learning and education team at Fugia, for having me here. It's really a pleasure to talk about things which matter so much and shape out our day to day life to such a great extent. And wonderfully told by everybody here. I think Ria and Shrishti, be it Pallavi and Ma'am, all of them had such great points to talk about that I'm really flabbergasted at, the points that I'm going to make right now about the planning and organizing part. But nonetheless, I'll begin with the session. So my topic suggests, I think that time management in itself is dependent upon successful planning and organizing of every work that we do. So we know that we've managed our time well when we've executed our plans and organized ourselves very properly. So in this session, I'll be talking about how to make the best of your time through planning and organizing, and how to stay focused henceforth. So in the competitive world that we are in today, we all want to make the best move, and we want to be more productive. So the first thing is that you need to plan your day in advance. So now you can do it either early in the morning or the previous evening or the night. So some people might argue that preparing a list a day before gives them anxiety and makes them anxious, as they already know that they have so much to do the other day. But really trust me that if you make a list and be mindful about it, it will reduce your anxiety instead of increasing it ahead. So because what happens here is that you are mentally prepared for the various tasks that you need to do the next day. So I discuss 5 things over here, so which if you be very careful about and make your to-do list revolving around these 5 tips, it'll be great. And these have worked tremendously well with people around us. The first and foremost thing is that while you prepare a to-do list, if we call it so, the to-do list that we do every day, and I think most of us do it, so you must not prepare an over the top list or something that can't be achieved in reality. So we need to understand that being practical is also a part of planning and organizing things well. So hence the goals that you set should be very real also, so that they are accomplished properly. They shouldn't be goals which we can't accomplish and we've just written them down because we want them to fulfill in a day, but that can't happen in reality. So we need to be very focused on that. That's the first thing that I would suggest. The second thing that I'd come down to is that while you prepare the list, take a mental estimate of how much time will you be giving to each of those tasks. So this will solve 2 purposes. One, you'd not write more tasks when you know you'd be able to do so. So you know that you'll write 7 tasks or 8 tasks, and you not write more than that, because you know that this is the time that you will finish it in, and you'll not write more than that. And the second is that once you have the tasks and the deadlines for them already, you will mostly end up doing it around that set time and not go very easy on yourself. So which I'm sure you've experienced and I've experienced and all of us do. So sometimes it happens that we know that a certain task should be done, say, in 2 hours, but we end up wasting 5 hours in that, or so sometimes 6 hours for that matter. So this is a really common case, and it's just not, you or me that everybody faces that. So in this case, if you have an estimated sense of time before, it really makes our work better. And this is something I personally do on an everyday basis, and it helps me a lot to increase my productivity. And moving on to the next part, while you prepare this list, this to-do list, be mindful of the urgent tasks, or the ones which are to be done on priority, because these will be the ones which will occupy a chunk of your headspace now. So you should be doing those first instead of, wailing out time on the easier ones. So the only trick to get out of this anxiety of finishing off a tough task is to gather the courage of doing and just begin doing that work. So once you're done with the priority tasks, you can shift your focus to the other tasks of your day. So this is one of the tips. And yeah, moving on to the fourth one that I have is again very important, to categorize your tasks. Now there are a lot of things that you will be thinking about when you sit down to make your to-do list. But to ensure that you stay focused, you usually do, what I do for myself is that one is your work bifurcation. So you decide what work you have. And that's the most people do a to-do list around the work that we do. For example, if we have a meeting, or we have to write a post, or we have to write a research paper, or we have to write a marketing strategy, etc., etc. So that's the work list that we prepare. But the other things that we deny of ourselves is, say, our personal development goals or our daily course. We totally ignore that in our lists. So that is my suggestion, that when we make this to-do list, we should also include our personal development goals. For example, what about a Zumba workout, or what about your regular workout, or a regular exercise, or reading a book or a novel, or the second section is your daily course. Because we all know, and let's face the fact that we need to do our laundry and go to cook and water our plants, whatever it is, etc., things. But how about adding these to the list? So this becomes another important thing when you categorize your tasks. So prioritizing that also in your head. You do not necessarily have to write it out elaborately, but having it in your head with your work tasks is very important, so that you know that your day has a wholesome effect of everything equally. So that's another important and thing which I'd like to mention. And moving on to the last part of this, the fifth point is that while you prepare your lists, do not pile up all your work or the heavy things that you have to do in a single day. So I might have five heavy things, or five heavy or difficult tasks for a single day, but I will always make it a point to spread that over a week and choose that very wisely and daily in a span of different days. So this will really help you from being overwhelmed and will keep your mental peace preserved, I would say. So a difficult task slash a heavy task will obviously, or I would say mostly, take up a lot of time, and doing many of them wouldn't be a possibility for us every day. So this is again something you might want to keep in mind while you prepare your work list, for that matter. And now, when we talk about planning and organizing specifically, and when you talk about successful planning, we ultimately do it to achieve certain goals in our life. And in most cases, it is seen that organizing your workspace also contributes enormously in the kind of productivity you bring to your work. So, I personally am a fan of cleanliness, and I keep my workspace organized and planned. So, you might want to give it a try as well, because if you haven't tried that, it really does wonders. Organizing your workspace also has a lot to contribute to your growth as a person in work, because that organizing also counts. It's not just always work, it's being organized and managing time in every single thing that we do. And I'm sure all of you agree to that. And the last but very important idea that I'd like to bring forth here, when we talk about organizing and planning and time management, and it holds a very important part in all of our lives, is the motivation. So when we talk about planning and organizing, we essentially miss the concept of motivation, which can be external or internal, because ultimately we plan and organize to achieve certain things in life and goals, like I just mentioned previously. So now these internal and external motivating factors are very important. Sometimes these factors could be readily available. Sometimes these factors you might want to create them. So one might be motivated by listening to songs, motivational ones, or one might be motivated by going out for a workout, and then they come back and then they get motivated, or different things people do to get motivated. So uh, having said and done everything about planning and organizing, it's okay, you plan out a list and you do everything around that, but getting that motivation intact is also very important, because that motivation is something that will keep you going day after day. No matter how much successfully you plan out and organize and prioritize and manage time, it's all good, but motivating somebody, and even if people are not there readily to motivate you at times, there will be times that people will not motivate you. You need to provide motivation to yourself in those times. So I think that plays a very important role when we talk about successful planning and organizing. And before I close this session, I'd just like to mention a really important again thing, that it's always okay sometimes to not plan and organize once in a while, because see, no matter how much we try controlling our lives and our mind, there will be days when you don't feel that you're your 100%, and that's completely okay, because again, in the end, it's you who's going to take care of your own mental health, and you should allow yourself a break once in a while. So however, at the same time, it becomes our responsibility, a really good big responsibility, that we do not start wasting time in the name of being patient and with ourselves, and in the name of self care. So hence, you have to be the best judge of what's happening around you. And it's really if it's really a bad day for you, enjoy a break then, but then decide for yourself and go ahead with the successful planning. So yeah, I think this is all that I have for organizing and planning from my side.
Thank you so much, Manya, for sharing these amazingly beautiful ideas and beautiful thoughts. I mean, I really love them personally, and I'm sure
Thank you.
everybody would be benefited from these.
Thank
Coming
you.
over
Thank
to,
you.
yeah.
Right. I really liked what
Ma'am.
Manya said, about letting go of things when you're not in the right frame of mind. And when sometimes you want to take a break, and it is happening quite often. I think everybody must be experiencing it from the last 7 months, the kind of turmoil we all are in. Sometimes you just want to let go of your routine and everything, sit back and relax. And I am also a very organized person. I mean, Kalpana knows me very well. So I always have that to-do list, Manya. And now I'm certainly going to add from what you have said that I have to take out 30 to 40 minutes for my own self-care as well. Very, very significant point, I
Thank
think,
you,
which
ma'am.
you have
I'll share
brought
these
in
points with you in
everybody's
person.
notice.
So
Yeah,
Puneet ma'am is
Thank
a
you.
follower
yeah,
of
thank you.
mindfulness. She's a very organized
Okay.
lady and a very
Very,
mindful.
very,
Wonderful.
very
Okay.
ardent
Wonderful.
follower.
Wonderful.
Coming over to Pallavi, this is I really wanted to ask you this one thing. Yeah, Pallavi, so there's just one thing. We're running short of time. What is the weirdest reply to a question that you've ever asked in an interview?
The weirdest answer, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I asked the definition of e-commerce. And I asked the candidate, rather, it was one of the campus candidates. So I simply asked that candidate that, what does that E stand for in e-commerce? Just out of curiosity. That candidate answered, it stands for entertainment. And I did not have a response to that poor kid. All I could do was, okay, noted. That was I think the funniest actually for me, and I still cannot come to terms with that response. And the candidate was a BTech fresher and a complete hoity-toity college, and I was not expecting that response from that candidate. And when I did get that answer, it was completely unexpected. That sort
Thank you
of
so
gave
much,
new
Pallavi.
definition to e-commerce word.
And you could also tell us what does E stand in e-commerce. That would be really helpful.
Electronics commerce. Electronics commerce.
We know it's electronic. For all of us who do not know that. Okay. So by now we all would have noted and understood that professional skills cannot be learned. These need to be developed. And we are sure that these words and tips from our experts will definitely help you in developing your professional skills. This discussion has been amazing and can go on till long, but I'm afraid that we have the time crunch and we'll have to close here. I would like to thank all the guests here for taking out their precious time and guiding our audience. Due to your great views and ideas, we really feel that the purpose of this webinar has been completely accomplished, and our audience has been wonderful too. If you have any questions, audience, if you have any questions, write to us at learn@fusia.com and we will surely get back to you with our expert advice. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. Thank you, Kalpana ma'am, for organizing this.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Fuja. Thank you, guys.